Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Matt Hanna.
We're Horror Hour with the Hannas, a married couple who love digging into the guts of horror movies.
Literally and figuratively.
Whether it's new releases or cult classics, on our podcast we break down the scares, themes, and hidden messages with just the right amount of love and humor, with some occasional bickering.
So grab your popcorn and your emotional support blanket and join us Wednesdays
for a spooky good time with Horror Hour with the Hannas.
Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today, if you dare.
Hello, my spooky friends. This is John, your host of Dairyland Frights, and welcome to another episode, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest. And today I am very lucky. I have Amanda on the golf course. I have Stacy and Matt in their bunker. I don't know.
The war room.
Lost Souls Paranormal. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You guys, I'm lucky to have you guys. So one of the main things, we like to make this fun and make this we don't have $1 million studio. I don't have a bunch of interns. And so could be fun. Amanda's, like I said, on a golf course. So she'll be coming in and out, folks. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm really excited about what you guys have to say. So let's start out.
What Matt and Stacy say. We have full-time jobs, full-time families, and we just do the paranormal, part-time. Well, here I am living my life while I'm doing some paranormal stuff. So on the golf course we are.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And that's where most of the paranormal groups are. I mean, you guys do this for, fun.
Yeah.
Interest in the paranormal. But what inspired you, and anybody can chime in here, probably Stacy and Matt, I'll start with you. What inspired you to start the paranormal group? Like, interest in the paranormal? Or what?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stacy and I both shared an interest when we started dating. We would watch all the paranormal TV shows and, man, this looks really cool. And so we decided to try it. Well, we're lucky enough that Eloise Asylum is about 15 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
So we went and did a public hunt there, had a blast. We had, a digital recorder and a flashlight?
Yeah.
And that's what we used. Had an outstanding time. Then COVID hit and it shut everything down. So we were stuck at home and we binge watched all these shows and relived our experiences and thought, you know what? Let's get a little serious about this. Got a little bit more equipment, went back to Eloise, had another great public hunt. And the evidence that we captured led to Stacy being on the Fox Nation documentary about Eloise called Secrets of the Asylum.
The tour guide at Eloise was friends with the producer, and originally the show was going to be like people's experiences, and they contacted us like, hey, do you want to be in it and share your story? Yeah, great. They went a different route with the Secrets of the Asylum, and then during the reenactments of factually accurate things that happened at Eloise, I was one of the nurses. And that's where we met Josh and Tori, which they're not here today, but the four of us are like the founding members of the group. We kind of hit it off. We did yet another public hunt, and we're like, oh my God, these people are great. Like, feel like we've known them our whole life. And that's kind of how the group came together. About a month after that, we all went to Randolph County Infirmary for our first real investigation, and we've been going ever since.
I love it. And you guys are Midwesterners, right?
Michigan,
Midwest.
Yep. Michigan.
Born and raised in Michigan.
I love my Midwest people.
That's right.
Because I'm here in Wisconsin. We love them.
All right.
Well, we're all big Packer
go.
fans, yeah. So we all have something to common.
I've been listening to the Charlie Barron's Bellied Up to the Bar podcast a lot. We hear all about the Midwest on there.
We're kind of lucky to be from here because it seems like the Bible Belt is some of the most haunted places in America.
Absolutely.
It is.
So many locations to go through, and quaint small towns,
Yeah.
cool little diners to visit.
Absolutely. So, Amanda, how about yourself? How did you get involved with the group?
Well, Matt had been telling me all about their investigations, and I really had the idea that this was kind of spooky, kind of like a haunted house type thing, and those scare me. But I mean, not scare like I won't go to them, but they definitely frighten me. But then he was showing me some of their videos, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then he brought down some dowsing rods one Christmas, and he said, let's see if we can communicate with our dad. So Matt and I are brother and sister. And my dad died, our dad, sorry, gosh, almost 30 years ago, in the house that I live in. And
Okay.
I was like, I don't know if I really want to know if he's there, but he brought down the dowsing rods, and the communication we had with him, there was no doubt in my mind it was him. It just brought a lot of, not really closure, but it was like comforting. And then I was talking to a camping neighbor, and they said something about their property, thinking it was haunted. I said, hey, I've got a group I can invite. And then seeing the evidence and what an investigation was all about just really sparked my interest. So we went on a couple of hunts with them, and then Joe and I were invited to be an official part of the team, and I just can't get enough of it now.
I love it. And that's what you got to do. Is you got to have a love for it, because if you don't, I mean, you guys are up probably doing nighttime, so you might be starting at 9 o'clock, right? And going to like 3 or 4 in the morning or 2 in the morning. I mean, it's kind of not.
We're not like chickens anymore. I mean, you're not going to find us up at our house at 3 in the morning, but you take us to a haunted house and we'll be up all night. Like, there's something about it. You love it. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to ask again, Amanda, I'll start with you. Just really quickly, tell me about your first paranormal experience. Like, it can be when you're younger, older.
Well, this is, I think, my first one. But I didn't realize it until I think either the last podcast we were doing or the one before that, something that Matt had mentioned. And all of a sudden I remembered when, gosh, I bet I was maybe 5 or 6, staying the night at my grandma and grandpa's house, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I did not like to be away from home. I was a homebody. I wanted to be with my parents. I didn't stay the night at a friend's house until 5th grade. But we had to stay at my grandma and grandpa's house, and I woke up in the middle of the night, sat up in bed, and by the door into the bedroom, I could have sworn I saw my grandma standing there, like not moving, just kind of looking, like as if she was watching to make sure I was okay. But I realized now that it was not her physically, it was like a shadow. And so I truly think that was my very first experience. But then I had the one I know for certain was, gosh, it would have been, so Joseph was a year old, so about 13 years ago at Matt and Stacy's house, not the one they live in now, but a different one. I saw this closet door moving, and I thought my brother was in there hiding, like playing hide and seek with their oldest son. And then I walked in another room and saw him. I said, were you just in the closet, like playing hide and seek, moving it? No. I was like, are you sure? Yes, I've been here the whole time. I said, well, the door was just moving from the inside. He goes, that must be our ghost. And then he went on to tell me multiple experiences at that house. I was so scared. I wouldn't go anywhere in that house alone until they moved out.
We missed that house because it was haunted.
I do now too. I would love to go back now, knowing what I know. But at the time, holy moly, I was scared to death. So that's my first that I know for sure was an encounter.
And you said you wanted to leave. Did you ever talk to you? What did your parents say, or when you talked to people about it, did they believe you, or did they say, it's okay?
Well, this particular time at their house, I never told anybody about what I saw at my grandparents' house. I really didn't think much of it. But my mom, of course, my dad was already passed by then. But at their house, that encounter, I think mom just listened to the stories and I think she was kind of blown away too. I think she believed it, wouldn't you say, Matt?
There was no denying that house. I mean, we could fill your whole hour plus with just stories of that house alone. Every now and then something kind of gave you the, not so great feeling, but overall it wasn't bad or negative. It was just very active and wanted you to know that it was there and it was its house. It wasn't our house. It was whatever the entity was.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, everyone always tells kids, it's not real. It's not real. We tell our kids, ghosts are real. If you see them, they have a message. Listen, there's a reason you're seeing what you're seeing, hearing what you're hearing. Because growing up, I had tons of encounters, but I heard and saw things other people didn't. And I was just told, it's nothing. It's just your imagination. If ghosts are real, they can't. That's not how it works. And it was just blown off. So I didn't have my first encounter until that I know for a fact. Until I was adult, because everything was dismissed when I was a kid.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Stacy. Talk about your first encounter now. What happened?
Well, it would probably be at that house. Okay. There were just so many things that had happened. Things moving.
Give me a couple. Yeah.
Our oldest son, Jacob, our youngest son, Andrew, they are about 3.5 years apart. Andrew had just been born. He was about a year old or so. And like the baby toys that have the lights and the sounds, they would turn on at random times. And you could chalk it up to a faulty battery, except when the batteries weren't in the toy. There was no power source in some of the toys.
Right.
Many objects went missing. Matt and I were standing in the kitchen talking, and, the strings on a garbage bag when you tie it close. We watched the drawstrings come up, break gravity, go to the other side of the bag, and then the bag fell over. And when we both watched it happen in real time, and then I saw my first shadow figure at that house. In the bedroom, you could see through to the kitchen. And the way the kitchen was set is, it was like counters and stove. And then there was a wall that led to a walkway in another section of the house. And this shadow, it just like you pick a shadow up off the ground, walked from the kitchen counters, through the doorway where I could see him and straight into the wall. Wow. And that was such a surreal moment. And we knew something was going on because with the boys being so little, we didn't let them sleep in their rooms. They slept in our room. Andrew was in his crib, but we even brought Jacob's bed into our room because we didn't want him on the other side of the house alone. We knew something was there, and it wasn't always something we wanted with our kids. So we didn't leave them unsupervised in that sense.
Absolutely. Matt, how about you?
Well, my first real experience, I was a young kid at the house that Amanda lives in now. And in my bedroom, my bed faced straight down the hallway. And I can remember this dream so clearly. It was a reoccurring dream. I would wake up in my dream and I'd look down the hallway and I'd see this figure creeping down the hallway. Well, it reminded me of a Native American creeping down the hallway, and then it would turn and disappear. And then we found out a few years later, about 400 yards behind the house, there's a wood plot, little woods. And that was actually a Native American ceremonial ground.
Oh, boy.
And they found arrowheads and all that stuff out there. So that kind of stuck with me. And then just always getting the feels and the creeps. But then once we moved to Whitmore Lake, and then as I was older, actually I had another house.
The radio?
Well, yeah, this is the one with the radio. A guy had moved in with me, and I was upstairs sleeping, and all of a sudden he's hollering, Matt, Matt. And the cupboard door was opening and slamming shut. Open, slam shut.
Yeah.
It's always kind of felt like there's always been something with me, following me around. So, and then as we've gotten older and understand more. It's just really piqued my curiosity as to what is that's out there? Why do I feel this way?
Why are those things always following us around?
Right.
So,
right.
It was a young age.
Yeah. And did you ever feel like it was trying to harm you at any time? Or was it just...
I never, looking back on it, because I wasn't a young child, I was scared. But I don't remember ever feeling in danger. Like,
great, because you don't know what it is.
There's been times on our investigations now where we've gotten into some, pretty sticky situations that I felt like, okay, if we don't handle this right, there could be some danger. But I think just being a kid, being young, it wasn't
talked about as much back then either. It
That's
wasn't
true.
as common. It's becoming more and more mainstream now. It's not the taboo subject that it once was. And as more people talk about it, and I think it opens that door to let everyone share their experiences and not feel like you're crazy. But, 30, 40 years ago, that wasn't the case. You didn't really talk about it because your parents, it's just a dream or it was just something. And it was always that fear because it was unknown. Whereas now it's like, oh, yeah, that's the ghost in my house. It's no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the funniest things, I think this is kind of funny, is I had a paranormal investigation couple on, and they were talking about, she said when she was a little girl, she would see this shadow figure like go in and out of her bedroom and stuff. And then she would tell her, she was scared. So she would tell her parents and they'd be like, you're just dreaming, you're seeing things. And then when she turned 18, her parents brought her aside and go, oh, by the way, this house is hella haunted. It's always been haunted. There's a bunch of evil spirits. We didn't want to tell you. They've been scratching Dad. They've been like moving things, coming out of the closet. And she's just like, are you flipping kidding me?
How do you hide that?
Right. She goes, I'm scared shitless as this little girl sleeping with you. She said when she was like 15, 16, she would be like, am I going like nuts? Like, what's going on here? And her parents said, you're fine. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. And they just...
No, then just drop the truth bomb of, no, you weren't crazy.
Yeah.
It is all real. Move far away. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said she kind of got the idea one time her dad bought a rocking chair for her room. Because her mom, when she was younger, would come in there and rock and read her a story and, and stuff like that. And then one day she said she woke up like 3:00 in the morning. She sees the rocking chair moving and she's like, Mom? And there's nobody in the chair. She sees like a mist in this chair. And then she tells her dad, and she said she was about 7 or 8. She tells her dad the next day the rocking chair is in the trash. And they go like, she goes like, hey, what's going on?
A dream.
Unrelated, no, dream. And the dad's like, termites, right. And then the dad came forward. Yeah, the rocking chair. Yeah, I think it was cursed, or the spirit cursed it. Sorry about that.
Wow.
Right? But this again, 30, 40 years. And she said, right then and there, she goes, I have to understand why my parents were lying to me all this time, right? Why were they lying to me? So she, became a paranormal investigator, and she's written a couple books about it, to demystify it. And she goes to other places to talk to young children to be like, hey, it's okay you see something. Bring it forward to your parents or bring it forward. There's plenty of groups, which like yourself, that, maybe you can go on your Facebook and say something and you guys can at least be like, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? Amanda, what do you think of that story? Do you have any comments on that? If that would happen to you?
No, not like that. I don't know. I haven't had anything like super crazy happen, so I'm not like,
okay.
I'm not worried about things. I'm not scared. All my friends say, oh my gosh, nope, no way would I do that. That is so scary. Nope, something might attach to me. I don't worry about that. I haven't had anything crazy happen. I think The craziest thing would be shortly after my dad died, there was a bottle of lotion that my mom and I were looking for. Look. Cannot find it anywhere. Fine, whatever. I'm done looking for it. Turn around. It's sitting right in the middle of the floor leading into the bathroom, which there's no way we would have missed it. So we often wonder, okay, well, was that something paranormal? But it's not like I saw it move. I don't know. I'm waiting for something big to happen.
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
had something reach out and grab him a few investigations ago.
Ooh.
And I think that really spooked him. But yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that. I want it to happen.
It's amazing
You hear
when
that,
it does.
Stacy and Matt? She's waiting for Satan to grab her. Great. That's all you guys need.
This is coming for Miss. I'll do my solo as long as you guys are there. That's so. Yeah. Captain Bravery over here.
I got a spot for you at the Bel Air house, Amanda.
Yeah.
Well,
We got you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're all set. If I knew anything about the Bel Air house, I'd know what he was talking about.
me too, but I don't.
Yeah, we're headed to the Bel Air house in Ohio here in a couple weeks, so we're pretty stoked. It's an entire weekend. We get there Friday night, and we don't leave till Sunday afternoon. So we're really stoked for that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. I'll look forward to that on your Facebook and other places.
We're gonna.
So let's talk
We're
about.
actually gonna record a podcast there with someone that I'd have to look up her name, but it's someone that you had on, I believe, and she's from Iowa.
Sure.
Here come the cats.
Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
I gotta look it up.
I know what you're talking about. It's driving me crazy too. Yes, I've had her on a couple times.
I'm gonna find it right now. But it's either Station 50.
Yes.
I don't know her name.
She's done investigation.
Oh well.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
So when I was listening to some of your podcasts, I heard about some other groups, and I thought, I'll reach out to them. They sound really cool, and I think we're going to try to record a podcast with her while we're at the Bel Air house. So I'm super excited for that.
Love it. I would highly suggest, if you guys ever have a chance, you can get around to this in Iowa, the Edinburgh Manor.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's a nasty
The name is familiar.
So just really quickly, I did an episode on it. The Edinburgh Manor is like the creepiest of the creepy. Like, think of your standard horror movie. It's this former poorhouse, manor house, and up until like 2004, it kept it was a assisted living center, but it was horrible condition. It's in the middle of this field with like growing up, overgrown grass down this gravel road. I mean, it's like this typical horror movie. And all my paranormal investigators have been in it, have had experiences. Every last one. The basement holds a guy, they've seen a shadow person or entity, whatever you want to say, called the Joker. He is not, I will warn you, Stacy and Amanda, he is not nice to women. He likes to abuse women. Favorite. He likes to pinch you. He likes to strike you. Women have been grabbed by their arm forcibly. He's not a nice guy. They call him the Joker because people said who they saw a full apparition. He has this wicked grin, and he'll just stare at you.
To me, that sounds like the perfect place to go down first thing. Walk in the door, go straight down there, and be like, "Come on, let's go, buddy." Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Gonna mess with me with Joe around, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, bring it on.
Please do that. I would love to see that. And then one of the floors has children on it who like to grab your hand. If you're a man or a woman, they like to grab your hand as in they're scared. You know what I mean? Like a child. So, and there's a whole bunch of different things in there. You can go take a look at it. It's one of my favorite episodes I did. It's scary as hell, and my paranormal investigators have been to it. Because I've always got something, an EVP,
awesome.
whatever. So let's get to investigations. First of all, I'm going to ask you guys how you guys set everything up. And one of the things I would like to know is a lot of my paranormal investigators, when they go to an area, let's say the Eloise Asylum, Do you guys go in and like say something to the effect of like, we're here, but we're going to respect you. We're not here to hurt anybody. How do you guys do that when you first approach a area you're going to investigate?
I think we don't necessarily verbalize it outward, like walking in. Before we go into any location, more times than not, we'll do a little. None of us are overtly religious or anything like that, but we'll do a protection prayer to our spirit guides, to higher power, whatever anyone wants to call it. And we go in with the intention of respect. We don't provoke. We don't go in trying to argue and fight with spirits. They were people just like us, and some people are nice, some people aren't. Yeah. And you treat them accordingly, but we don't outwardly state it because, our intention is to communicate with them, share their story. And we'll often say that in various spots, like, hey, we're here. We drove all this way to talk to you because we want to know your story. What do you want us to tell the world about you? Or, something along those lines. But we don't outwardly state it from the onset because they feel it from us.
I just want to interject real quick because Stacy is under headphones in the Estes a lot, and she'll admit that she only knows about half of the investigation when we leave. So there are times when, depending on the mood or the tone of the evidence we're getting, usually Matt and one of our other teammates, Josh, and actually it's typically the guys, stereotypical guys are going to watch out for the girls. They will state, hey, we are here out of respect. You have to respect us. We will respect you. Or if Matt feels that Stacy is being affected by one, you don't have permission to touch her. Obviously we're fine with being touched if it's in a respectful way or in a way like,
sure,
I've got something to say. I need to get your attention, but not in a mean way. Or if they have something unnice to say, Matt will say you don't have permission to take control of her feelings and her energies. So I believe Stacy does not hear that there are times when we do say that, but it's not like that's the first thing we say when we go in. So, but we do have an upbeat kind of, we're constantly joking around. Obviously it's hard for us to take life too seriously. So
there's serious moments and we handle them, but we go in with positivity and light and hope to get that in return. We know that at some point we're going to come across some gnarly stuff, and have come across a few things here and there. But for the most part, we just choose not to delve into that side of it too much because we don't know what we're doing with that. We've got kids, we've got lives. We don't want to bring some nasty ass attachment home that ruin everyone's life. So, we believe in setting boundaries, and if there's a situation that we can't handle, we defer it to someone who can. And the few situations we've been in, we've been able to handle them for the most part pretty well. And so far, so good. We'll just keep chugging along. Yeah, but we're not going to back away from a location because it's got a reputation for having something nasty there. No, not at all.
Yeah. So, Matt, like you said, you kind of feel being the protector sometimes. We're men. We're just, we feel that way no matter what. Has there ever been a time on an investigation where you felt you had to protect someone, not only the women, but maybe yourself or a man or another man?
Amanda had mentioned that her neighbors at the campground had a haunted space, and our youngest son is very aware of the other side and very open to communication.
Yeah.
And he had an oppression, and we had to remove him from the location. Stacy and I stayed there and blessed him and saged him, and then I took him for a walk and got him back down to earth and in the right headspace, and then went back in with him to reclaim his space from whatever it was that tried to get with him. There's been Stacy was pushed down the stairs at Randolph County.
Wow.
Is
that a jail? Is that a jail or is
no?
That,
Randolph County Asylum is in Indiana. It was a farm.
Right.
Yeah. What? Something to 1980 maybe. I don't. It was an old folks home at the end there, but it's the owner there. He believes in saving historic properties. He owns quite a few, and it's almost as it was back then. A lot of the renovations that, to make it a newer assisted living place have been removed, and it looks more like it did when it was a functioning pork farm. It's an amazing place. Good, bad, ugly, it's all there. And if you listen, you'll hear it and see it. I can't recommend that place enough. I think by and large, it's a group favorite. We've been there 7 or 8 times now. Yeah.
There was one other time I just thought of. We were doing a private residence in Monroe, Michigan, and there was Stacy and our other teammate Tori were doing a double Estes. And the history of this house, there was an abusive father and husband, and he started to come through and was getting pretty nasty and everything. We had to kind of take that back over as well. But I tell you, when you start doing that and they're in an Estes, and Stacy will turn and look right at you and tell you to piss off, it's a little freaky.
Yeah.
With the blindfold and headphones. And
there's something about going into the Estes that just, I don't know, it really helps me open up. And I can't see anything with my eyes. I can't hear anything with my ears. And just depriving me of those senses helps with the communication. I hear some of it through the radio. Some of it I just hear and feel and say. But when I'll watch the tapes later, I'll turn to, who, you? And just turning and looking at someone when you can't see, it's so creepy. It is the creepiest thing. It gives me the creeps every time I see it.
Yeah, and for, again, my spooky friends out there, sometimes we get new people listening. Could you explain just really quickly what the Estes Method is and how do you go about setting that up?
The Estes Method is a great way of communication. It's done with a spirit box, which is just a radio that sweeps through radio stations. You can set the speed at which it goes forward or backwards, and it creates white noise. The sound is what it makes. And then you get some good noise canceling headphones so you can't hear anything else. And most people, I hope, are using a blindfold with it as well. Sensory deprivation helps you focus on what you're hearing, and it's said that spirits can speak through the white noise. Yeah. And that's how it started with us. We thought, that's great. We were relying on that the most. We get a lot of communication. Tori and I both have an ear for it. And like I said, sometimes I hear more than just what's in the radio. I hear just things in my head and I just go with it. And then Matt actually had a brilliant idea. He's like, our Estes sessions go well and we get great communication, but sometimes they just stop. And then we have to pack up and move and get set up again somewhere else. So what if you did an Estes session while you walked around? And I'm like, you want me to walk around a location without the ability to see and hear? Is that right here? And he said, yes. And I'm like, that sounds like a plan. And by God, if we didn't do it the next time and have done it every time since.
I love it. So what's the scariest thing you've heard, Stacy, during an Estes Method?
It's not going to be your typical scary thing. The scariest thing I heard was my mom passed about 10 years ago now, 11 years ago. And it was a great Estes that we had been doing. I had walked from one side of the building to the other, down a flight of stairs, in and out of rooms. It was going great. And at the end, I heard someone trying to mimic my mom's voice and even use the nickname that she used to call me. Yeah. And that was it. We were done with that communication. Yeah. Because I knew that wasn't her, number one. And you can that's not something I was interested in entertaining any longer. So that session stopped. Outside of that, on a personal scary level, the growls. I've heard some growls before that sound straight up demonic. I don't know how else to describe them. Yeah. And there's been a few times where it startled me to the point where I'll rip the headset off because it's that. It's like it's right here behind me, and it makes my skin crawl. Yeah.
Amanda, I'm not as big as your husband, but I'm still a pretty big guy. I don't know how you guys could do it. I'd run out. You know those cartoons, where you see the smoke and the person running through the wall? Yeah. And then you guys would be like, hey, John, where'd he go?
Yeah.
That's just nuts. I can't wrap my head around that. I haven't had a lot of paranormal experiences, but one time I heard a woman's voice in my ear when I was all alone in the house say, John, right next to me. And there was nothing. I was all alone. I wasn't sleeping or whatever. That freaked me out. That was like, hell no. I got out of the house and went to the bar and had a beer.
That's so funny. We hear and see things all the time, and we're like, okay, it's time to talk to them, see what they want.
Right.
So we'll all like, oh, I've been seeing the shadow a lot lately. Yeah, me too. Okay, well, let's see what he wants. And, we'll open up communication. And
that's just crazy. Amanda, you're going to say something?
No, I really didn't have much to say other than I want to experience that. And I wonder if I have, and I just haven't known it. Like,
you'll know.
So we got a new portal from the Ghost Hunter store, and Matt came down to our house last weekend to try to get it dialed in before we go to Bel Air House. And I said, why don't you take this home with you? Because I have not stirred up spirits at our house because I'm new to it. I'm feeling more comfortable because when he first did those dowsing rods, he was very clear that you needed to close out a session. You don't leave any portals open. So I was afraid I would do something wrong and I would have all these evil spirits entering my house. I just don't do it by myself. I don't trust myself yet. I'm getting there. But I said, why don't you take this portal home with you and see if you can get it dialed in? Because I'm sure that there's more going on at your house. Oh, yeah, we got all sorts of stuff. But I think that like Stacy and Tori have the neatest abilities to feel and hear and communicate with the other side. And we do rely on them a lot. And I'm jealous of that. But I'm not like against it. I'm totally open to hearing it. I just don't know if I have. So I just want to experience it for one investigation.
I think the spirits see you and they go, oh, man, she's going to be boring. I'm just going to be like, whatever with her. I'll go over here.
No, they look at me and go, she talks too much. I won't get to talk.
No, what it is she's trying to force it. You just gotta let it happen. If you're seeking it out, you're never gonna find it. And trying to force it is like it's gonna delay because it makes you feel like you don't know what you're doing. It makes you doubt yourself and have less confidence. Mm-hmm. I discovered that I could do this by accident, and if I had sought out to, I've always seen the people on TV like, oh my God, that'd be so cool. I wish I could do that, but. I was just watching TV, commenting like, I wish I could go there. It was just a pipe dream. And I think if you're actively trying to do it, like, okay, I am going to make myself feel something. You can't. It doesn't work. You just have to let it happen. You just have to be open and receptive and go from there. And as soon as you quit trying, it'll happen.
So I try the Estes at every investigation we go to. And I am starting to hear a little bit, but Stacy and, everybody really is really good about helping me experiment with the equipment. So they might run the spirit box without the headphones plugged in. And then when something comes through, I might say what I thought I heard, and I can compare it to what Stacy heard and see, okay, am I starting to hear it right? There's something else that they're really patient with me and help me to learn, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, I bet. So really quickly, before we get to more of talking about your experiences and talking about your favorite, investigation, equipment. Run down your list of equipment you guys use. Estes.
You, Captain. Well, we definitely rely heavily on an Estes, but we've been trying purposely to broaden so that there is more, or back up the Estes with other stuff. And Matt and Josh are the equipment guys. They know what to do, when to bring it out.
Yeah, we have several ways we like to communicate. We'll use a flashlight, the dowsing rods, spirit box, Amanda's portal, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite ways to communicate. thermal cameras, K2. Yeah, we have a couple of K2 meters and cat balls, a couple REM pods that we like to set out. That way, if we're not right in that area, it's in the
Audible.
Yeah, audible, so we know to get to that area. Yeah, we have this little box, the Envoy. It's actually a pretty neat way that they can communicate. It's activated by touch, temperature, and EMF.
Yeah.
So, and then it can answer yes/no questions or spell out words. And that way, it gives the spirits the option. What's the easiest way for you to communicate with us?
I love that.
It's also easiest to explain to them because I don't know how to manipulate the energy to change this device and do so. But I know how to tell them, touch it, and it'll make a noise and answer a question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think each have their purposes. What I love is cat balls. That always cracks me up when I've had every last one of my paranormal investigation teams have used cat balls.
Yeah.
And they've said they've gotten some really interesting things from it. So why do you think that is? Why do you guys think cat balls?
Simplicity. You can touch it, you can move it. And if you're dealing with young spirits, it's a toy. It doesn't make a loud noise to startle them. It just flashes lights, and it's a small, unassuming, non-threatening object. It's a ball. Who doesn't know how to play with a ball? Everyone does. You're taught that from as soon as you can walk. Kick the ball, throw the ball. And I think it just crosses all those barriers that maybe some spirits are afraid of. Well, what is your big box going to do to me if I do talk to you? They don't know maybe what our intentions are and what our equipment does.
You can, and you can set them up and create that safe space.
Yep.
Put a little distance between them, so if they're a little apprehensive or shy, we can be a hallway's length apart, and they can still communicate with us.
Yeah,
that makes
and
total
also,
sense.
so some of our team members have the music box, which is another one that audibly you could hear it. So does Ryan have the Boo Bear?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The Boo Bear and the
What's the Boo Bear? What's the Boo Bear?
It's a teddy bear with EMF sensors in it. I think it has it on the paws and
Nice.
and it'll flash, red or green or something depending on the temperature as well.
Yeah. Oh. Do you guys have a favorite piece of equipment? What's your favorite? You couldn't live without. Your equipment you could not live without. Which one is it?
Go ahead, Matt.
That'd be my wife. She's my favorite tool.
I thought you were going to say that, Stacy, to Matt. He's a tool.
I'm not that important. No, seriously.
I know.
She doesn't give herself enough credit. We truly are blessed to have her on our team.
Very nice.
Because the ability to do the Estes and to connect is only the tip of the iceberg. We've gotten to the point where we can walk her through locations and she'll pick up on things almost in a psychic medium sort of way. But she's not a psychic medium. She's a psycho large.
Thank you.
So it's just been super helpful to dig a little bit deeper into certain things, especially with the residentials. They seem to be a little more comfortable with her, and we're able to establish that communication a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Like I said, outside of that, the portal that Amanda and Joe bought, is quickly becoming my favorite.
Nice.
I'm excited for that. You mentioned that Stacy is our tool, not that kind of a tool, but at this Randolph
tool.
She's the good tool. At Randolph, there's a room in the attic that we've gotten. There's a little bit going on in there, and I want to find out more, but I'm not comfortable enough with one piece of equipment yet. I love the dowsing rods because I can use them, but when we go back, one of my plans is I've asked Stacy if she would do a quick Estes up there to give me kind of some leads on where to go with my investigation with the dowsing rods, or maybe with that portal, or even if I just have a spirit box without the headphones. So, we really do use Stacy in so many ways. So sorry, Stacy.
That's awesome.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you must feel really good about that, Stacey. You're kind of the glue that puts them together. That must make you feel good, right?
Well, I don't know about that. There's a lot of love and trust in our team, and I know it sounds super corny and everything, but I couldn't walk around a strange building blindfolded without being able to hear if I didn't completely trust everyone. And not just to not let me fall down the stairs or walk into a wall. You know, like
Which is funny, but not
yeah,
too funny.
it would be great content, but it would only be one video. We'd be done.
Yeah, right.
So, just to keep an eye on each other. We know when someone's acting off. We know when, you'll hear it in our videos. Josh will say, "Hey, I think we should get her out. She's too deep. Something's wrong." And Matt, hold on, let's make sure, everyone is watching everyone who's doing it, whether it's a dowsing session or an Estes, because keeping each other safe is obviously our first priority. And we couldn't open up and expose ourselves and be vulnerable if we didn't have that support behind us. So I'm lucky to have all of them, because without them, I couldn't do any of it. So
I love that. And that's what makes a good paranormal investigation team, because it's really hard to find people who take it serious enough, and hard to find people who take it too serious, right? You got to find that happy medium.
Like, we're serious, but we're still going to have fun and joke and laugh. And, we're... There's a time and a place for it. And I think acting just like we do in our normal life helps the spirits feel comfortable with us, because they're just regular people like us. They're not, we don't barge in and start screaming at things to talk to us.
They match our energy that we put out. They're giving back.
Yeah. You get the gift.
Oh, yeah.
I think the hardest part about what you guys do, there's some. I don't like him, by the way. Started on Zach Baggins. Okay, whatever. If you like him, fine. That's good for you. But anyway, you see these shows, right? And it's like one thing happening after another. Bam, bam. Estes, spirit. No, right?
Right.
The hardest thing is you've been there 3, 4, 5, how many hours, and nothing's happening. And you guys are like,
seriously, what are we doing? Yeah. And that's,
How do you deal with that?
We haven't, we've had slow nights for sure. There was one investigation that the team went on. I wasn't able to go because our son had a bowling tournament before he graduated, or baseball, bowling. And they said that was like the slowest investigation they'd ever done. And of course I joked with him and told him it's because I wasn't there. But, those are the good jokes we like to have. But,
absolutely.
We stress on all our videos, we're not a professional camera crew. Matt does all of our editing and makes our videos as concise as possible. And half the time he struggles to get them short enough, because we are really fortunate. We get a lot of good interactions because we're not phony balonies on, bagel bites and trying to make something out of nothing. And, it's easy to have a jam-packed experience when your experience is already pre-scripted. It's a slow night's a slow night. It is what it is. They're not performing circus monkeys.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
When Joe and I went on the investigation that you weren't able to go on, that was at the funeral home, and it was a slow night. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, it's us. We're new. Maybe we don't have the right vibe about us. I was feeling a little guilty.
Absolutely.
And then Matt had called me the next day, and I'm sorry it wasn't very active, but because I was so new and I am still learning, I look at each one as a learning experience, and it gives me a chance to try out some equipment, or we don't get out that Envoy or the laser grid very often, so or the thermal, whatever. We get it out. Maybe we won't get anything, but we at least try it. And well, actually that night it was interesting because we had the music box and it just kept going off and off and off, like stop. And we're like, wow. And it was up in the bedroom where the kids would have been. In the closet, they said there was a lot of stuff happening in the closet. We had it pointed toward the closet. Well, we were able to do some work and we debunked it. And there actually was something like hanging, setting it off. It wasn't
Right.
anything paranormal. But, even that was a learning experience. So I look at slow nights as a way for us to even grow or try out something new, or we just hang out or we go to bed early and hope we get touched in the middle of the night. I don't know.
Yeah. Mm, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's really good at
Absolutely.
catching that.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so,
Wow. Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because things are
So
going to show up on
something,
an EVP that you just don't hear, right?
yeah, right.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Something that Matthew Charles. It says, okay. Well,
We're all
no.
good.
Well, okay. So I really thought that the percentage in my little box was telling me how much of the podcast I have monopolized. I'm going to go with that. So there. All right. So I'm going to just, oh, okay. That's fine. Okay. So now I forgot what I was going to say. I think
Wow.
it's the brother sister thing going on. Yeah, I don't know. I really truly don't know what I was going to say. I know, I remember. I think what we're going to try at Bel Air House, well, we have done live streaming before if we're getting good enough service. Clearly, right now, I would not be able to do live streaming. But, so we can do Facebook Live and we can do TikTok Live. So Joe does the TikTok. The rest of us are usually busy with things that we can't usually get Facebook going at the same time. But if we get a big enough following, then we would like to try to get the viewers to be interactive also and give us some ideas or say, hey, I think I just saw this. I mean, I don't know if you can see it through camera or if you have to be there in person, but they might even give us some ideas for questions. So if it's a slow night and we get our live stuff going, then maybe they'll come up with just the right question. I don't know.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to do, because I've interviewed paranormal groups all over the United States, my dream, and I don't know if this will ever work, but my dream is to have several live investigations going and then having somebody from Michigan, like you guys, having somebody from Florida, having somebody from North Carolina, having somebody from Texas, having somebody from California. And, you guys just go about it. But one of the things I wanted to do, and I'll keep you guys, aware, and keep you guys updated, is I would like to do someone vote. So, like, you guys choose 3 areas you want to go to, 3 investigations you guys want to do, and then have people vote. And then if you guys can do it, it's totally up to you. You guys go there and we do a live investigation. Now, I don't know how it will work. I would love that because it'd be so awesome. But the problem is internet, right? Because you guys are probably, let's say you go to the Bel Air house and you guys are in the far end of the house. Well, maybe it's kind of a dead zone there. So you see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure something out that I would keep you guys aware of that. If you guys like to do it, that is my dream thing to do, to keep you guys. Mm, right, right. Love that. Okay. So let's get into, just really quickly before we wrap up here, favorite investigation and why. Amanda, you go, since you're delayed for like 2 hours.
Yeah, right. I feel like I should know the answer to this really quickly because I feel like we've been asked this on every podcast, but I still have to think
Yep.
about it. And I have at least favorite parts of different investigations. So, like at our camping neighbors, they owned a property that used to be a bar, and we thought we were going to be communicating with some of their family members, and it turns out we were actually communicating with somebody that had passed away. She drowned in the river when a bridge collapsed, and we went back a second time and communicated with her again, and ended up helping her cross over. And oh my gosh, I get goosebumps just thinking about that Estes session and how incredible it was. Like that was the bucket, it's the name of the location, is my favorite for that reason. And then we went to Middle Point School, and that was the first time that I felt like I was really communicating with one spirit in particular, and she only wanted to talk to a female. So that one is my favorite for that reason. This Randolph County is the connection, the emotional connection that Stacy and Tori each have with a resident spirit there is remarkable. So I love that location for just seeing what those spirits can do for the investigators and how they guide them and keep them safe and communicate with them.
Right.
So I don't have necessarily one favorite, but and then in general, being invited into a private resident is pretty special, and so private residents are my favorite because they're personal and they're like, we're the only ones probably that go in and investigate. So I can't pinpoint it to just one particular location. End of story.
Okay. Matt, Stacey? Awesome. I think I might have lost you guys. Did I lose you?
Mine says connecting.
Stacey? Let's say connecting on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, while we're waiting, Stacey and Matt, Amanda, have you ever been to a residence where you were like, nah, I'm out. I'm not going to do this. Like, we need to leave.
First of all, I want to say they were
Go ahead, though.
picking on me about my poor connection and who got booted. Yeah. I was just saying you were picking
Your
on me.
connection's that bad.
Yeah, your connection's that bad. It came and attacked us.
Whatever.
Anyways,
No,
before you get us kicked out of here, Amanda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a private residence. The lady's father had just passed, and it was his house, and she was going through it, and they were getting ready to get rid of it, and she was really struggling with those emotions. and we were able to go in. Stacy was able to make contact with the father and bring her that peace. And just to see that relief on her face, that really solidified to me that what we're doing is important to other people as well as just fun for us. So obviously all the big ones, I love them. They're great. The camaraderie, the road trips, I love the whole thing. But if I had to pick one, it would be that one, just because we were able to help her find peace now for the rest of her life. And that's something I wish that, we had when our dad passed away, and I'm sure when your mom passed away, that connection, that peace. So that made me feel real good. And that to date has probably been my favorite part of all this.
I love that. Okay, Stacy, can you top it?
Well, no, of course not. My favorite, by and large, I do love the intimate connection that we get at private residence. I feel like it's untainted by other energies. I feel like it's a very pure read, a very pure conversation between me and the deceased. But I have to pay homage to Randolph because that's where it started. My favorite investigation is that first one when I discovered I could feel things that weren't my own feelings. And that physical pain that I felt, like medically something was wrong with me. I thought, like, I'm not a crier. That's just not my style.
Cold as ice.
I am a cold-hearted bitch. That's what it is. I don't wear my heart on my sleeve unless I'm angry. Then you'll know it. But I'm just not a crier. I don't expose that publicly. And I was bawling my eyes out. I felt physically the pain and the shame and the humiliation and the hurt that Lulu felt. And it took me a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks before I could fully accept what had happened. I was trying to debunk it as something else. And that's what opened the door to me that I could see these things and feel these things and hear these things. And without that moment, Lulu picking me for some strange reason, I wouldn't have had all the beautiful experiences that I've had. So it all goes back to her, I think, because that's my girl.
Love that. So before Amanda ruined your,
I know,
whatever,
right?
Your connection. So tell me about, I was asking Amanda, have any of you walked into a residence? Because I've heard this before from other groups. And you went, nope, we can't do this. It's too much. It's just too much. Whatever reason.
No.
But the last one that we did
that was a whole different reason why.
Yeah, so the information that Stacy was given by the resident led us to believe that there was something not very nice there. And one of the tour guides at Randolph that Stacy's pretty close with, we were there the weekend before the private residence, and she's warning Stacy, like, you guys need to be careful. Meditate all week. Be careful. So I was nervous going into it, but once we were there, it wasn't what we were expecting it to be. It was fun.
Yeah.
But
it was fun. They're all fun, but that one it wasn't, I'm trying to be very kind here. It wasn't presented to us, I don't think, with honest information from the residents. I think it was embellished. I don't think they were looking for help, and I don't think they were looking for closure or they were answers. They were looking for something to hang their hat on and become famous over. I believe every location has something. Whether it chooses to show itself or not is up to the spirit. But the spirits at their house, I don't think they want any of the games that the homeowners are playing, and it's invited things in, and it's not good.
Yeah. So speaking of that, mental health, unfortunately, has become a giant subject, which is good because there are a lot of people who need help and they go to a therapist and whatever. Have you ever been to a residence where you knew, like, okay, there's no spirits here. This person, family, they
person just needs help, right? Yeah, that last one.
How do you handle that? How do you go about saying it nicely without being like, you're nuts, like you're crazy?
Right. Well, it was hard because that place, it did have some activity. There were things there. I always call it like your resident spirits. I'm sure you've got some at your house. We have them. The guy down the street has them. Whether or not, again, you all choose to interact, that's on you guys. The resident spirits were like, look, mom's opening doorways and doing things that we don't want, and it needs to stop. And they're fleeing. And we tried, like, you've got to stop. You got to do that. But if somebody continually sticks their hand on the stove and burns themselves, at some point you just stop telling them to stop putting their hand on the stove, and you walk away and hope for the best. And that's where we're at with them. We just told them, we don't think it's what you thought it was. We don't think it's as terrible as you might be feeling in the moment. Here's why. Here's the evidence we collected, but it's not. It wasn't received because it wasn't what they wanted to hear. So at some point, you just wash your hands of it and hope for the best for them.
Absolutely. And do you guys do local residents? In other words, if somebody from Wisconsin would call, you probably wouldn't do it, right? You probably want to stay in your neck of the woods.
I wouldn't rule it out, but we wouldn't. It would depend on the situation. It really would, because it's a long way to go. But
if we could piggyback, if we could find a location,
go do something,
and then while we're out in the area, do the residents while we're out there.
Yeah,
would love to, especially if they need, they really needed something.
Exactly.
So
I love that, because I think that's important for people to understand. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's just you're just hearing some weird creaks and groans in your house because it's an old house, and you guys come in and be like, you might want to call a plumber.
Right.
Because we found a leak in one of your pipes here. Oh, thank you. Thank God, right? That pipe's been like banging every night. And it's driving me crazy. I think it's a ghost. Or you go in, like you said, Stacy, and you help somebody cross over, like Amanda said too. Help somebody cross over, and you're like, hey, your grandpa's safe now. He's going to be okay. He said he loved you. You guys are good now. Right?
Or just help them come to terms with it. Like, hey, that's not aggressive. The last time they tapped you, it was hard because they'd been trying gently for months, and they just really need to tell you something. And if you listen, they'll be done. And bridging the living and dead, the gap between them, it's really amazing. I love doing it. It's such a close moment between our team and the homeowner to give them hopefully what they want to hear, but what the message is. And then to see that message bring them closure or something and help them heal. It's a beautiful moment.
I love it. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here, but I have to ask a question that I ask all my paranormal groups.
Oh boy.
If you had all the money in the world and all the resources in the world, where would you go to investigate? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a group answer.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot.
Extensively. Yeah. That's like our dream location one day is to go to Loftus Hall in Ireland. There's others, and we'll go there after we're done at Loftus, but that's the first stop.
Okay. I know, Amanda, you muted yourself, but you agree with that, or is there something else?
Well, again, I'm just gonna say that I am new. That's my excuse for everything. I don't know all of the locations that they know, but I've heard like Savannah, Georgia is super haunted. And I just feel like, if you go there, there's probably going to be a lot of places you like kill 3 birds with one stone kind of thing. So I guess I don't have a great answer for that yet, but as we stated, we trust our team. And if they say that location is where we need to go, I'm there.
I love it. My answer is Transylvania, Dracula's castle.
Yes. Vlad the Impaler.
It's what's so funny about Transylvania is it's absolutely gorgeous because hardly anybody goes there because everybody thinks it's fog and werewolves, and I'm like, I'm going.
It's a beautiful place. Beautiful.
It's a beautiful place. Yeah. So
and the history is so incredible there too.
yeah, it's crazy, the history and stuff like that. So I'm gone. Boom. I'll bring as many of you as I can with me. We'll
We're
get
there.
on my private jet.
Right.
Get on the private jet, and we'll fly out there. And boom, we're
Yep.
doing it. Okay, so tell my spooky friends what you got coming up. I know you said the Bel Air house. What else do you have coming up?
Bel Air house. We're going to be going back. We're trying to iron out the date. We do want to go back to Randolph again. We've been talking about going around the holidays at some point, and we're hoping this is the year we can finally make it work with everyone's schedule. And then in the winter here in the Midwest, as you know, buildings without power and running water don't survive in the winter. So we are pretty much off until the thaw of spring. You know, we clean our equipment, go through videos, and count down the days until it's warm enough for the water to run and not need heat. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, go ahead, Matt.
Joe and I have never been to
Amanda.
Eloise, so I want to go there sometime.
Yeah,
we're talking right now in March of next year, doing a private at Eloise, a private investigation, renting the whole place to ourselves.
Yeah.
And then I'd like Amanda and Joe have never been there, but we have a lot of friends that are interested, and we'd like to invite, and we'll take them on a ghost hunt and teach them how, show them what it's about.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's on our agenda too.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to start our own podcast this winter.
Why not? We're going to give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I love meeting all the new people and the para community. I love it.
I know.
I love it.
It's such a supportive group. It really is. When you get there's a handful of bagel bite type people out there, but once you get past them, it's a great community. People who do it for the right reasons, in my opinion, who do it, you know, like we're always down to help another team or another person. I
love that.
Yeah, if your team said, hey, I need help with this, can you help? Yeah, we're going to help you. We're going to tell you and show you and whatever, so you can figure it out. We're not trying to swoop in and we'll do it ourselves. That's not how it is.
I love that. And that's the best way to learn, right? Because somebody might have a better way.
Yep.
And they might be like, why don't you guys try this? Oh, we never thought about that.
Love collaborating with other teams.
Or with new people out there, I highly recommend before anybody, because I have a lot of listeners who listen to this who are trying it for the first time. Please, reach out to Stacy and Matt and Amanda. You go on their Facebook or whatever, comment on their YouTube and be like, how do you guys, what do I need? Because, right, you guys could be like, hey, don't say this, don't do that.
Right.
This is our mistake.
Start simple. Make sure you're, 100%. It's, someone taught us in some way, and we think it's only right to keep passing that on so that the next generation and future investigators continue to do it and make headway. And, maybe one day we'll all get the questions or the answers to the questions. So
wouldn't that be great?
Keep plugging along.
And if you have an Amanda in your team, you can.
There's always going to be more questions. Don't worry.
Or if you would like an Amanda on your team,
email, call.
You're so funny. You're so funny. You guys,
the thing is, we said that 2 minutes ago, but you're lagging still. So,
thank you so much for giving your time and going over with me. I love you guys. You guys sound like you have a great, fun group. I would love to have you back on, and love to get you with other. Like I said, I want to do like maybe some podcast roundtables.
Heck yeah!
All
keep us in mind.
I've made some experience. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
And I definitely have to keep you back on. One of the things I'm always thinking ahead to try to get the word out for your groups and get you more likes and everything. Speaking of that, I will put all your links out there. I will put everything on the episode notes so people can reach out to you and say hi. Or like I said, you're starting a new group. And then, like I said, if you want to team up with them, maybe you're in the Midwest and you have a Midwest group. I have several groups like that have been on. Reach out to them. Maybe you guys can figure something out and, check something out, especially, like I said, with the Edinburgh Manor. Edinburgh. I love
we're going to look that up as soon as we're done, right? Yeah. Because that might be the first thing we do in the spring, depending on. I try not to know too much about a location, but I like what I hear so far.
Please do. I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised. They have a really nice setup there and everything for everybody.
For sure.
They know that this is like you said, kind of a a big one for paranormal groups to go to. So they do it right. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
again, love you guys. Thank you for going
you so-
overtime with me. This
Thank
was so
you.
much fun. Okay. Bye. Yep. Stay spooky. See ya. Bye bye.